Welcome to the Landmark Baseball Podcast. My name is Josh. We are joined by co-host Neil. And how are we doing today, Neil? Rocking the hats today. It's atypical.
Great day, as
What
always.
what made you wear the hat today? Because you opened
I just figured I was like, you know what, like why not? It's a baseball podcast. Like I have it. Obviously I'm a Padres fan, so yeah.
it. I've been wearing hats all along.
Yeah, I'm not typically a hat guy, but I was like, screw it. Like,
Not a big hat guy.
yeah.
You gotta plan to wear a hat. Like if I go to work, I'll if it's a good hair day, I won't do the hat just because you gotta. It kind of constricts my I get a headache from it sometimes, but bad hair day, just cover it with the hat.
Yeah, typically I just let my hair run wild and honestly like I don't even yeah.
You
I
got
mean
curly
my
hair.
hair's not that long anyway, but like yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you still
I
have
don't know.
great
Yeah.
ass hair.
But
All right. Well, we are at the All Star break. This is being recorded on July 15th. The Red Sox and Yankees were supposed to play tonight. They are not. We will get to that later. We will do our All Star break review of the standings. We will talk some All Star break stuff. We'll talk draft a little bit, but should be a quicker one today. Just some housekeeping kind of. We're gonna go through the league leaders a little bit at this point in the season, but yeah, it should be a quick little shoot from the hip episode. All
sounds
right.
good, yeah. I'm interested to talk about what happened today and also your thoughts on like the All-Star break and stuff. So,
Did you watch the Derby and All Star game and everything?
no, I didn't. I was kind of busy, but I was like following it and I saw like a lot of the highlights on Instagram or I mean on Twitter, but I saw a video of Pete Alonso dancing while some kid was like getting like helped off the field because he was injured. And I
That shit
mean,
was
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, like I was like, all right, Pete Alonso, like that is pretty funny, but yeah.
Yeah, he was beating a cancer survivor in the finals and
Oh
was
yeah, Trey
bopping while some
Mancini. Yeah.
kid was who tore his ACL or something was getting carted off the field. They were dragging that kid off the field.
Oh yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
He was
But
just waiting on him.
then yeah, Pete Alonso was just dancing, all 245 pounds of him, just like, you know.
Dude's a psycho. Did you? I don't know if you saw the interview he did. He did a mid game interview after I think his first round when he just destroyed Salvador Perez, and he was they were asking him questions and stuff, and he's just feeling good, feel really good about it, and then it's just these short little one hitter answers, and dude was locked into the home run derby.
So one comment said, when I was like hating, said, "Oh, he must have taken a bunch of steroids," and the next guy was like, "Nah, like he just like ate a bunch of cheeseburgers, like that's all he needs." And I was like, "Yeah, like, probably him." So.
Dude was gassed up.
And yeah, and then the All-Star game, I mean, AL wins it for like what the eighth straight year,
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's been since 2013, I think.
yeah, but I mean,
I
yeah,
don't know if you saw the clips of Liam Hendricks they had mic'd up at the end of the game for the save, and he was just swearing he didn't know his mic was working. He just thought it was broken, but he left it in anyway. And
mhm.
the earpiece was broken, but the mic was not broken. So he'd pull a curveball, and he'd be like, "God damn
That's pretty funny.
it!" National TV.
I need to like
It's pretty.
watch that.
How do you feel about in-game interviews? Because I personally hate them.
I mean, if it's a like meaningless game, like then, and when I say meaningless, I mean it doesn't count on the record. Then why not? I think it's kind of cool. I mean, most of the time, I mean, no, they only do it in a preseason and and the All-Star game. So I mean, I think it's kind of cool.
It can be cool. I don't like when they're interviewing guys when they're batting, because then no one's talking, and the guy obviously doesn't want to talk too much because he's trying to focus on the game, obviously, and they'll keep pushing stuff, and it's the man hit. They interviewed Tatis mid game. That was kind of fun because he wasn't actively in the plays constantly. They interviewed
Right.
Freddie Freeman, a double got hit over his head, and that was kind of fun. But I don't know, it's hit or miss. When they interview managers, it's kind of bleh, because they're just middle aged men who don't really want to talk
Yeah, I was gonna
anyway.
say they interview managers in the middle of the regular season, like all the time. So I've seen that like a
How?
bunch. But
Yeah, it's
I
pretty hit or
will
miss.
I will say another thing about players being mic'd up though is like it's kind of weird because they're kind of like forced to talk more in a sense, and you're like seeing these guys who are like it's not always like Tatis or like Liam Hendricks, like all these like really big contract players getting mic'd up. Some of the times it's like these like not so big guys, and it's kind of like weird seeing them talk as much because it's like I don't know, I feel like they wouldn't really be talking this much if they weren't. So it seems kind of I don't know, fake, I guess.
Like in
But
spring training, they interviewed Brett Phillips, hero of the World Series last year. He was really fun for that stuff. Like, there's some guys it's good to do it with, but like, don't give me Tommy Pham on the in-game mic. Just not not a big personality, or I don't know.
yeah,
It's whatever.
I no, I agree.
All right, we will get into the standings a little bit here. Just quick hitter. We're a little over halfway in the season. It's like 88 games or something. The All Star break isn't like perfectly in the center, but pretty darn close. And you can double most of these win totals and kind of see what a team will be looking like at the end of the year. So let's get into it. AL East, Boston is still on top, game and a half over Tampa Bay. Then it's Toronto, who is 8 games back. Yankees are actually tied for third place, 8 games back. And then Baltimore, my O's, 26 games back. We have the only negative run differential in that division, negative 138. That's real bad. Chicago White
Rough.
Sox are atop, yeah, are atop the Central. 8 games over Cleveland, who just had an absolute meltdown the last month. I think they lost 13 in a row or something. Class A couldn't finish off a game. They weren't hitting. Then Detroit, who's had an incredible last 2 months. They've been like over 500 ball for 2 months, and like the young are getting it. The bats are kind of coming through, and they're third. They're sitting there in third place, tied with the Twins, 15 games back. And then, yeah, Kansas City at the bottom there, 18 games out. In the AL West, it's Houston, 3.5 over Oakland. Then it's Seattle, 7 games back. Then it's the Angels, then the Rangers. Angels are just 1 game above 500. Hopefully, when Trout comes back, that picks up a little bit, but you still need some pitching. In the NL East, New York Mets are 3.5 games. Phillies, the Mets games are actually caught up with the rest of the league. They've all played about the same now after the Mets kind of spent most of the year, like 4 games less than every other team. But yeah, then it's the Phillies in second, 3.5 out. Then it's Atlanta, 4 games out. Washington, then Miami, who's only 9 games out. And Miami actually has the second highest run differential in that division. But they're in fifth place, so not every stat like that matters at the time. In the NL Central, Milwaukee is 4 games over Cincinnati, who has overtaken the Cubs on their recent slide. Cincinnati's 8-2 in their last 10. Then it's St. Louis tied the Cubs for third. They're 8 games out, both of them. Then Pittsburgh is 18 games out. Tough. They've won 34 games. Then in the NL West, it's the same story that it has been all year. San Fran is in first over the Dodgers, who are 2 games out. Then it's the San Diego Padres. They are 6 games back. And it's a 3-team race because Colorado and Arizona are 18 and 32.5 games out. So, yeah, there's your standings. It is incredible that the Giants are still on top of the West.
It is. We'll see how active they are at the trade deadline and what they're doing, whether it's buying or selling, because it does kind of make sense for them to sell at this point. But I mean, who knows? Maybe they want to, see what they can do. But two things I want to say. You were talking about the Angels, and they still need pitching. And we're not going to talk about the draft too much, but they literally drafted all pitchers from what I saw, like literally only pitchers. So I guess
20 pitchers.
they're like, screw it, we don't need any position players. Like we'll just take all pitchers. Hopefully one of these guys is good. And to me, that doesn't seem like a good franchise because I feel like they had some other good players. For me, like I feel like drafting is about getting the best like position player available, or like just the best player available, not all in on one thing. Oh, hope it's like right. And I mean, it does kind of. I mean, obviously, the GM over there is making millions of dollars, and here I am, but we'll see how it goes. But and then the other thing I was gonna say is gonna say. Oh yeah, the AL or the NL West or the NL East. I mean, you said the Marlins that the run diff is high, but they were still in fifth. I would say that that does matter because that's a tough division. I feel like even with everything that's happened in the Braves now, losing Acuna for the whole season, and now they really have nothing left other than Freeman. So I still think that's a tough division overall. So I mean, pretty
It's by
consistent.
far the tightest division in baseball.
Right.
I think the next closest one is it the NL Central. NL Central and AL Central are tied. They're 18. The last place team is 18 games out. Marlins are half that, 9 games out. I mean, that division is by no means settled, but it is interesting. They're plus 17 and they're sitting there in last place with only 39 wins. But I don't even know what the Marlins like bring to the table. Like they traded away Corey Dickerson, I believe, to the Blue Jays. Um, that was like one of their better underrated guys. Adam Duvall has been very good for them, but outside of that, like they just kind of like pitch well and like edge out games, and it kind of works out for them.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. But like, but yeah, it's still a really tough division. AL East, pretty tough division too. I feel like 4 team race. Like who knows where that can go. And then obviously NL West. Yeah, like you said,
Like
the
all
same
jokes
all
aside
year.
about the Yankees, like you still can't count them out. Like that is built to be a good team, and like just because they've had a pretty heartless start to the year, first half really at this point because it was a bad April and now it's turned into a bad half of the year. You still can't count them out. They got all the pieces in place. It's just when they want to turn it on, they will. But until they do, they're not really a threat.
And they're probably gonna trade for someone, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I keep hearing Joey Gallo, but like every team could use Joey Gallo. So
He's always up in the rumors.
yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Yankees do. We can talk a little trade deadline. Um, Boston's the top of the East. We didn't really expect them there. I don't know what their role this trade deadline kind of is going to fall into. I don't know if they're buyers or sellers because they're supposed to be rebuilding this year, and this was supposed to be a bad year, much like 2020 was. And here they are sitting atop the East. Same kind of story with the Giants, where they weren't supposed to be good, and like all the pieces they have could very easily be flipped for an instantly great farm system. I think the Giants will go that route, but probably not Boston. I don't know what's one of the bigger buyers or sellers you got coming up here.
Well, I think a pretty obvious buyer is gonna be my team, San Diego Padres, because that's just how the GM is. If you know anything about AJ Preller, he is by far the most active GM at the trade deadline. It's not even close. The amount of players like that they have like sent away just in the off season, and especially in this recent window of 2020 to now, call it the Slam Diego era, if you will, because it
People are
seems,
talking.
yeah, uh, because it seems that like I mean like literally every deadline, just huge moves, starting pitcher here, bid position player. I mean, it's yeah, and I keep hearing the same rumors over and over again. So yeah, I think the Padres obvious buyers. I mean Dodgers, why not? Obvious buyers. Looks like they're gonna have a bunch of money freed up if Trevor Bauer's off the books. And
What
I
could a
mean,
team like the Padres get like out of the big not free agent targets, but trade deadline targets? Like, what are you guys looking at? Like Gallo at first base, maybe? I don't know.
no, Dallo would be the outfield. Um, so Dallo would be like take over right field for Will Myers on the against right-handed pitchers, and then I'm assuming Myers would come in for lefties, and then it would be Grisham center, Pham and left. First base, I don't really know who they could get. I mean, I really think they need to ride it out with Hosmer. If it gets really bad, they can always move Cronenworth to first and put in Tim at second. And
I mean, he's been like really bad, and like it's tough to kind of have
it's gotten a
something
lot
else
worse
take.
because he at some
Yeah,
points, yeah, yeah, but then it just got really bad, and yeah, his WAR not looking too great.
it's
Um,
tough to just give someone else the reins at first, especially in like an NL team where you can't bury him at DH. But uh, I mean, you
especially when
just
you're
need more
paying him
out of
that
him.
much.
Below average OPS. He's hitting
His sledding
266, but his
is
on base
terrible.
percentage is only 323.
Sledding god
I mean,
awful.
he's
Don't
just
even look at
not
it. Yeah.
for a guy who's supposed to get on base like probably above like a 350 clip. He just doesn't. I guess he's only had like 2 seasons, 3 seasons like that. But I don't know. It's kind of what you want from a first baseman. They got a pitch around you, and you capitalize on the mistakes, high home run amounts, and he's just not really. he doesn't fit that mold really. He's not having a terrible season, but the Padres are going to need a lot more from him, especially if they want to push past the Dodgers or Giants for first place at this
Right.
point.
And then a pitcher, I mean, like I said, Barrios, who knows? I heard someone on the Royals, I think it was, I want to say Danny Duffy or someone might was in talks. So
Uh, Duffy and like Brad Keller, those guys are always good,
yeah,
solid
so
pitchers.
and I mean Padres and Royals have a history, so I mean I could see that. But yeah, they're definitely going to address the starting pitching because they've had some injuries too. I mean Darvish is hurt now. Snell was hurt, but he just came back. So and then obviously a bunch of other injuries too. So
Really
yeah,
dumb that the Padres. So the Padres and Dodgers are currently the the wild card game matchup. The Padres have 6 more wins than the first place Mets. They are tied with the same amount of wins as the Brewers. So kind of just sucks. They're all in the same division. The Dodgers have 56 wins.
they're all really good teams. They're all really good teams, and I keep like saying like I honestly think that these are like the best teams in baseball. Like I don't know. I only said the Padres and Dodgers earlier, but I just like I mean I have to say the Giants now the way they've played. But like I said, we don't know if they're gonna be buyers or sellers, and it makes sense if they're sellers. But yeah, it's like yeah, you're like you're saying it is unfortunate they're all in the same division, but I mean at the same time that's how the cookie crumbles, and I mean they're gonna have to face off, and it's gonna the best teams are gonna win, and I can't wait to see who that is.
Just what a flip of the script. I mean, in the offseason, you probably thought it'd be Mets atop the East and either Milwaukee or St. Louis at the top of the Central. And then, like, the West was going to be a 2 team race. But you knew at best you'd be facing, like, a lesser team in the wild card. But facing the Dodgers in a wild card would be kind of unprecedented. But currently, that's the trajectory we're on.
That would be very unfortunate. But also think about what I was saying at the start of the season, like as a Padres fan, because I was we were gonna get the wild card, and who knows, like maybe if the Braves like didn't absolutely get demolished by everything they've been through, injuries, player altercations,
Off field issues, we'll
off-field
call
issues,
them.
yeah, we'll call it. They could have won the division, and Jacob DeGrom could have been pitching in a wild card game potentially. But I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
Dodgers and Padres in a wild card game. It's not very fun.
fall
Pot,
of the Braves this year has been insane. I mean, Acuna goes out last week. He has an ACL injury, out for the season. The Ozuna stuff and Soroka's had setbacks. Freed hasn't been the same guy this year. Swanson's not hitting at a great level. Freeman never really got going the way we know Freddie Freeman can. And I mean, it's just been a disappointing year all around for the Braves.
and like we said, or like I said earlier, they're in a really tough division, so nothing's gonna come easy. You're not gonna get it hit your way. You're not gonna get lucky. The Phillies, the Marlins, none of these teams, even if they're bad, supposed to be bad, you know, they're not easy wins by no
There's no
means.
easy win. No, like we talked about the Marlins earlier, they're plus 17 run differential. At the very least, they will pitch a good game. The Nationals, they won the championship 2 years ago. They still have a lot of the pieces from that team. Juan Soto is an elite talent. Schwarber was insane when he was playing, and he's hurt for probably a good part of the year now. But Trey Turner, elite shortstop there. I mean, that's not an easy win. The Phillies, Bryce Harper, Zach Wheeler's on the hill for them. They're
Real
never an
Muto.
easy win. Real
Yeah.
Muto behind the plate. I mean, there's
Yeah.
Phillies might be a 500 ball club, but they still give you a good game every time you play them.
All
And
true.
I think the
Yeah.
Brewers are probably a piece or two away from actually being serious World Series contenders. Like I mean that. Like there may be a big bat away or another great arm in the rotation away from challenging the Dodgers or Padres for that NL title.
Their bullpen is very nasty, especially the back end. They have, I mean, Corbin Burns and or not Corbin Burns. Uh,
Hader and Williams.
yeah, Hader and Williams. Yeah, I mean Corbin Burns is yeah obviously really good, but yeah, no, I think you're right. But it is always tough because I mean that's like a couple teams. I mean, think about what the Mets would be if they had maybe one more position player, one more rotation guy, I think they would be, in the talks for the best team as well. I
I'm
mean,
interested for Syndergaard to come back for the Mets. I mean,
oh
that's
right,
a
that's
game
true.
changer.
That is. Actually, I haven't talked about that much, but that could be huge. I mean, their offense is like bottom three. I almost said top three. Bottom three for like a lot of categories. So that kind of is an issue. At the same
They're
time, they
hitting
have been
less than every
decimated by
team.
injuries. But
They're
yeah,
hitting less than every team, but they're pitching more than any team. Like their average pitcher is a Cy Young candidate. Like Stroman's been great for them. Walker's been great for them. DeGrom has
just
having one of the
been
best pitching
insane.
seasons of all time. I mean,
Yeah.
his ERA plus is in like the 600s. Yeah, they just have great pieces up and down there. Their bullpen's a bit shaky, but maybe that's something they remedy at the deadline. Let's you want to talk about any of these other teams? I mean, first half stuff. The White Sox are kind of just getting it done with their patched up lineup, and I mean, the AL Central is a very weak division, but they're still kind of getting it done on a nightly basis. They just kicked our teeth in, Orioles' teeth in the last week here, but yeah, they just pitch and get enough runs. I guess that's any team.
I mean, but them especially, like they have, I don't even feel like it's elite pitching. I want to say it's like decent starting pitching and like decent bullpen, but when it's not bad, that's not gonna get you into trouble, And their offense, I feel like is still pretty good in some places. Yeah, like you said, did enough runs, and when you're not in, the NL East or NL West, you don't have to, you don't have to worry about that much. So
We faced that White Sox bullpen. It's unreal the guys they can just pull out of there. Like obviously everyone knows the Liam Hendricks of the world, but like
yeah,
they threw Michael Kopech out there. He was throwing 101 with one of the nastiest sliders I've ever seen. They just had this guy sitting in the bullpen. He's a top prospect starter. Garrett
right.
Crochet, same
Garrett
thing.
Crochet,
Throws
lefty,
over 100, lefty
yeah.
stud, and yeah, just I mean it's nuts the kind of like utility knives they can just pull out of that pen, and they're going to be filthy come playoff time because if that staff holds teams to 3 runs the way that it does, like Dallas Keuchel and Lance Lynn, those guys are doing what they do in the postseason. They're going to be a very not fun team to run into in like an ALCS type situation.
That is true, but I'm thinking they won't just as
I think
I don't
Houston takes them down.
yeah, and I think I don't trust their pitchers as much as I do other teams. Maybe in the AL, yeah. So I just yeah, you're right. In the AL they can go pretty far because no one really other than Houston is their big rivals. I mean, who knows what can happen in a 3-game series, but
I mean, you thought the Yankees would be there. You thought they'd be kind of challenging. They'd be the team to beat, and they just like we said at the beginning of this episode, they've turned a bad April into a really bad first half of the season.
it's a damn shame. Not kidding,
Not
but
really.
yeah, not really. But hey. Like we said earlier, they still have plenty of time. This is only the halfway point. It sounds like we're kind of talking like it's the end of the year and like we're, like critiquing teams, but a lot can change. We could all like be eating our words at this point, so
Things
who
just need
knows?
to start happening soon. The kind of trajectory they were on is similar to the Cubs, except the Cubs came out and said we're selling. So guys like Chris Bryant are going to probably be on different teams.
Craig
Javi
Kimbrell,
Baez, Kimbrel is a candidate. Kyle Hendricks, Zach Davies is in there. I hope they don't move Rizzo. I think he's the one to stay out of that core, but he's not necessarily off the table. I mean, Ian Happ could go. He's a potential All Star, but yeah, it's the Cubs lost like 11 straight and just dropped to third in the division, and those guys can provide a lot of help to many teams.
so you think Cubs are gonna take a huge leap, like plunge down?
Their GM came out and said in an interview like it's time to split up the pieces, and because of their recent losing streak.
Right. So I mean,
You
I
rarely
think we're
see
gonna
a
see a
GM
lot
say
of
that.
teams like that though, right? They're gonna show what they're like actually what their true colors are because I mean that's just how the second half of the season is. A lot of injuries, and yeah, trade deadline. Obviously, you don't wanna like lose out on your yeah, buy buy low, sell high. I guess.
So out of all these teams, we've got a few surprises that are in first place at this point, but for the second half, who's your team to watch for? That's gonna besides the Padres. You're not allowed to say the Padres.
Why do I say them? They're like
They're in third place, but who's your team that you think will shoot up the leaderboards a bit more than other teams might? Who's
uh
gonna make that comeback?
that's two different questions. You said who's gonna make that comeback, and then
So
who's
like
gonna.
you got some teams that are not so expected to be at the top of the leaderboard, like the Red Sox and the Giants. Who's like gonna have a second half that like mirrors that, but they maybe didn't have the best first half.
Uh, it's tough. Do you want to share first? I need to like set nothing to write
I got
down.
one. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think the Cardinals are due
that's a
for
good
some big
answer.
things to happen because they've had an awful last couple months here, and they got the pieces to really make some stuff happen. Their rotation is pretty respectable. Their bullpen is very good. Their lineup is one of the better ones in baseball, and they just are sub 500 team. They can't beat the bad teams, but I think they've got a resurgence coming. They're certainly not sellers at the deadline, so I think something's happening with St. Louis second half.
Um, I have my answer. You're not gonna like it.
It's the Yankees.
Yeah. I honestly, after the trade deadline, I think they're going to be better, and I think right now what they've been through the up until the All-Star break was unprecedented. Like no one thought Aroldis Chapman would have like a 14 ERA. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, and I don't think it's going to stay like this for long. Garrett Cole is looking bad too, but then he just absolutely had a absolute total dominant game against Houston. I
That
mean,
game
the
was
best
insane.
offense in most categories, held them to 0 runs and a complete game shutout through like 126 pitches, most pitches any pitcher's thrown all year. I mean,
That game was nuts. I didn't watch that game, but I saw like John Boy's breakdown of like him screaming on the mound saying like I'm finishing this fucking game, and like
right,
that was pretty awesome. You don't see that
right.
too
And
often.
the one thing I'll say is it doesn't feel as great, right? Because you'll look at the Padres, who are 6 games out of the division, and then the Yankees will be 8, and you'll say, okay, yeah, they're both in reasonable striking distance. But then you look at how the whole season's been and how it's played out and the run differential. And if you've watched a lot of these games, like, the this the aura, the vibe of whatever it is of the team. And obviously, it doesn't feel great for the Yankees, but I still think they
Yankees
can
and Padres
turn
are
things around.
mentally in very different places.
Exactly, yeah. Despite being, like I said, 6 games out of the division versus 8, doesn't seem like much, but when you look at the run diff, when you look at the teams and what they're expected versus what they're doing, both have had injuries. I mean, I would say the Padres more. I was looking at our IL bullpen and rotation. It was like they would be like it would be, yeah, if the Yankees had that, they would win the World Series. Like it's kind of nuts. So,
Like for the Yankees,
yeah.
it's a whole different conversation because they haven't gotten going. They haven't had that 6 game win streak or whatever to bolster the team. The Padres have had that success, whether it's come in streaks or whatever. But yeah, the Yankees have just not been. They've never had a stretch this season where they're playing good baseball, and that's why we can't necessarily think that they're due for better baseball because we haven't seen it at all this year.
Yeah, and they've lost to some really bad teams as well. And yeah,
Swept by the
they,
Tigers.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. I mean, Tigers, like you said, are kind of a miracle team at this point. Not really, because they're still, they're in third, but still a lot better than last.
For the AL, the current wild card would be Tampa versus Oakland, which is a rematch of 2019. I believe Tampa won that one. I could be wrong. I think it's Tampa that won that one. But yeah, that'd be an interesting series. Winner of that series would play either Houston or Boston. They have the same record right now. But yeah, that's really that. I don't know where Neil went. Bruh.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. But
Sorry.
no, I was listening. But we talked about the AL, and
It'd be
yeah,
Tampa versus Oakland, yeah, for the wild card.
doesn't surprise me. It feels like we did that like every year, or at least those two teams in the playoffs. So
Yeah, very much the mirror image of each other. Oakland, the Moneyball story, and Tampa's kind of taken that in the more modern form. But yeah, it's always a fun matchup. But we do have a whole second half to play, and we'll see how it plays out. A lot of moving parts here. This trade deadline's really gonna bring a lot of things to light. It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. We can transition to the draft, which happened this week. I think it was on Sunday. Yeah, about a week ago almost. But yeah, we're not big draft guys here. I like the draft. I don't study college prospects really, though. I don't watch college baseball. I don't go through the prospect rankings that often, but it is fun to, think about the draft a little bit. But bottom line, we don't know anything about these guys, and we're not going to hear about them for probably about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years in most cases at the least. So
Definitely not as exciting as other sports drafts. Not
no,
not even close to the NBA or NFL, where you get players in the first round who are going to come in and make the
change the
all
organization.
NBA, all pro rosters in the NFL. Yeah, just be game changers right away. So you don't get that too often in baseball, if ever. Like, so
You talk to a lot of guys before this draft, and most people say they know Jack Leiter. Kind of tore it up in college this year. His father was Al Leiter, played Major League Baseball, and yeah, he didn't. He ended up going second overall, but first overall belonged to Henry Davis, catcher out of Louisville, who a lot of people thought would go like fifth overall. The Orioles would get him at five, but didn't end up happening. Pirates went under slot, took him number one overall, and that should be their catcher of the future. I mean, he's a very good bat, very much listed as the best bat in the draft this year. I don't know if you knew that name before.
I
No.
did.
Yeah, like I said, I don't watch college
I
baseball.
knew I knew about Leiter, like you said. I knew about Kumar Rocker, and then I heard there was another Vanderbilt pitcher who went in the first round too. There was three, but I
There's
heard
three
Kumar
of them.
Rocker, his like velocity was down, and he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't looking like a stable pick. But
He just didn't show anything that was like a step forward. He was the number one pick in the mock drafts before this year, but yeah, Jack Leiter kind of shot up there, and a couple other guys just outperformed Kumar, and he's going to the Mets with the 10th overall pick, and what a steal for them at 10. They
little
can pay the
steal, yeah.
money.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I guess
definitely.
it's not a steal yet, but
No, I said it's still a steal.
oh
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
high
Oh, wait.
ceiling guy, but a low floor kind of guy. But yeah, I'm kind of was hoping the Orioles would take like a pitcher, but it's okay.
No, yeah, like I said earlier, you gotta get the best guy available, and I mean the Padres. I did see who they drafted, and they drafted a shortstop in the first round, and I was like, you know what, like it's probably they thought he was really good because they obviously have Tatis and Manny locked up for the next 10 or 9 years with Manny, so and then Tatis even longer. So I mean, obviously they don't need infielders per se, but they must have really liked this guy. So I
Yeah,
don't have a
he's a high school pick. His name is Jackson Merrill, shortstop, lefty bat, out of Maryland. 6'3", 195. Born in 2003. That is insane.
that's pretty nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, not a lot of high school selections here, especially early on, or besides early on in the draft. The prep shortstops were kind of the big talk. There's the four ones: Mayer, Watson, Lawler, and House, were all the high school shortstops projected to go top 10, and they did. Besides House, Brady House went 11th overall to the Nationals, but yeah, some interesting, falls and rises for a lot of guys. Texas ended up with Jack Leiter at number two. Tigers ended up taking a high school starting pitcher at three. They took a lot of pitchers in this draft for an organization that had pretty solid pitching up and down, and they kind of need a couple bats. They ended up taking a young pitcher with a high ceiling.
Never have
Uh,
too much pitching.
Never have too much pitching. The Red Sox end up with the consensus number, not consensus, but projected number one overall pick, Marcelo Mayer, high school shortstop, lefty. They had him in a Red Sox uniform talking to Xander Bogaerts. Kid looks like a Red Sox. So that's going to be fun for us AL East guys for a while. Not.
I have no problem with the Pirates taking the catcher number one overall because it's very hard to find catchers who can do it all and especially be very good with the bat. So I honestly have no problem with that.
Yeah, I think it's a solid pick.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
You'd rather them take the more high floor guy than taking the gamble on a guy like Mayer or one of the other high school shortstops who, they're probably 6 years away from playing Major League Baseball. And I don't know if the Pirates want to wait that long. That's probably not in their window of competition. Their farm system's pretty weakened already, and they kind of need prospects fast. So taking college bat first is fine with me. Then yeah, none of these other picks are too notable. Orioles at 5 took a outfielder with some good hit tool, but people don't care about that. Diamondbacks ended up with one of the better shortstops. They took Jordan Lawler, who was supposed to go third overall. I think he has like high power. I don't know, just a great athlete. But yeah, we don't need to talk about the draft too much. Like we talked about some of the stuff, like the Angels took 20 pitchers, and I think the Tigers took like a lot of pitchers. Giants took a bunch, but Orioles ended up taking 4 out of their first 5 picks for college bats, all outfielders. But yeah, anything else on the draft?
No, I was interested to hear about the Diamondback shortstop because obviously my division, but that is good for them, I guess.
They needed it, and you might remember the last time they took one of those elite shortstops. Dansby Swanson was actually a Diamondback before he was a Brave. They traded him, I think, the next offseason.
I did
But
not know
yeah,
that. I did not know that.
yeah, first overall pick, 20, 2015, something like that. I don't even know who they got back in that deal. I don't know. Irrelevant.
Yeah, it didn't work out either way for both teams. So
Dansby's a major league shortstop. He's just not a great major league shortstop. He'll never be an all star, probably.
yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have anything else on the draft, we can go into stat leaders and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna pull up some stats.
The story in the AL has been Guerrero and Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani leads baseball in homers. He has 33. Second place is Vlad with 28, and Tatis is tied with him as well. But yeah, with a 5 homer lead over his counterparts there, it's pretty insane for the guy who also pitches. And like, I get it, Ohtani. We'll never see anything like that again in our lifetimes, or most people haven't. Do you,
I think we will. I think we will.
Yeah, it's kind of the trend. Like, I know the Rays have a lot of two-way guys in their system, but I don't know if we'll see it at this elite of a level.
Right.
And no one's seen it since Babe Ruth. So for now,
Right.
it's pretty groundbreaking
Oh
until
yeah,
someone else can
definitely,
do it.
definitely.
Yeah,
But
average leader, Vlad Guerrero, 332. Castellanos right behind him. What
OPS, one of
jumps
my
out at
favorite
you?
stats. Oh, obviously
OPS.
Otani. I mean, it's kind of absolutely nuts what he's doing. I mean, you look at his if you want to talk about an advanced stat, he's like, well, his barrels last time I checked was like 15. I don't even know if you can check now. It was like 15%, like, per 100 at bats, which is pretty nuts. I mean, yeah, his OPS slightly under Guerrero, but I just both those guys, Otani and Guerrero. I'm very surprised. They've just Otani's like shown, I mean they've both shown potential before, but now they're living up to it and they're absolutely turning up, and it's very cool to watch. And Otani, his offense is, they're doing pretty good. Obviously, he has Jared Walsh, who was an all-star as well. Also hitting the ball very well. Trout is out. I haven't heard too much about Rendo, and I don't know what the deal is with him. Whether
He's
he's
been
hurt or
bad. He's been hurt. He's been
yeah.
bad. It's just, what a disappointment.
But then Guerrero, obviously, the Blue Jays, they're up there as well. They might be the number one offense. It's either them or the Astros. You looked at the categories; it's all split between those two teams. I'm pretty sure they have the higher OPS. So, but yeah,
Otani's barrel percentage is 6.5%. So, I mean, that's
Otani's.
pretty. Otani's, yeah.
I swear
That
it was like
is in the 69th percentile, which is, I mean, that's pretty good. Still really good.
there's no way he's leading the league. Uh,
What are you looking
I was
at?
looking at fan like I want to see.
In WAR right now, Otani's number one with 5.6 WAR. Behind him is DeGrom with 5. Gossman
Osman.
on the Giants is 5. A lot of pitchers. Then Tatis is the first like position player, 4.3 WAR. This is Baseball Reference WAR, not other. I always like looking at D WAR. I love defense. I just like seeing defensive stuff, and like Machado has one of the all-time highest like D WARs in a season. But this year it's Isaiah Kiner Falefa on the Rangers, 1.6. That's crazy though. If you can make like 2 full wins above replacement like part of your season WAR, that's like such an advantage, such a boost.
It is. I was on a StatCast Baseball Savant last time I checked it, and I don't know what stat. I was looking at. It was like barrel percentage. Yeah, so the one I'm looking at is like barrels. It says barrels slash PA percentage, and it has a Ohtani at 15.5, and he's 2 ahead of everyone else. Tatis is 13.
He's
I don't know.
nuts, man.
I don't know what this one. I don't know what the difference is. This one's on a StatCast on Baseball Savant. So
Otani's expected batting average against fastballs is 500. Four-seam fastball. Oh, that's in 2020. This year it's 270. Well, never mind. That's an irrelevant stat. Only 3 guys this year have an OPS over 1,000, which has kind of not been the trend in recent years. Like Trout's always up there. Soto's been up there. Yelich and Belly are always right up there. And those guys have not been anywhere to be found this year. So interesting. I know the offense had a slow start to the year.
it is true. It's just been their pitching pretty much. I mean, it's carried them so far, right? And I guess it will continue to carry them.
You know who's leading baseball in games played? It's one of your guys.
Crone,
It's Crone Zone, 91.
hey, all-star, much deserving, and
Yeah, very
great
much.
player. Great player. Yeah, went to Michigan, so makes it even cooler.
Yeah. Where is he from in Michigan?
I have
Is
no
he
idea.
from Michigan or is he from?
I think
like,
so. I think he is.
I'm curious. I know I've done this before. Though.
Yeah, I love Jake. Jake is awesome.
What a steal!
What a steal.
He is
Honestly, AJ
from
Preller needs
St.
a
Clair,
statue.
Michigan.
He's like stole,
Statue.
like, he like, yeah, I mean, just for what he's done now, like if nothing else, like he's definitely not going to trade away, the core that he has now. Like he can trade away, some of the, the prospects here and some of the smaller pieces who are, still like kind of good, but win or lose, like yeah, I don't know. What he's done is like it's kind of nuts. But yeah, like you're saying, Cronenworth is definitely a steal. Yeah.
He's from St. Clair, Michigan. That's about from me. It's like just north of Detroit. 7th rounder out of U of M, Ann Arbor, baby. But yeah. All right. Good career arc for Cronenworth so far. Hope he does well going forward. I wonder what his college stats were. U of M. He played Cape Cod League in the summer. Did horrible.
Huh. Did horrible. That's funny.
Over 300 hitter. Over 300 hitter his senior year at Michigan. Popped a total of 6 home runs. All right. He probably played with one of the guys. He was like big in our area. His name was Jackson Lamb. He could throw like 100. I think the Rangers took something. He didn't do it though. And he went to Michigan. He probably teammates with him. Small world. Now he's in San Diego doing shit. Anything else jumping out here? A couple first-time All-Stars. Nick Castellanos, Jesse Winker on the Reds. Both pretty good stories. I think Castellanos is a first-time All-Star. Could be wrong.
And the Orioles, my boy, or your boy, I mean, Cedric Mullins got, what he deserves, starting center field spot in the AL, which is a pretty big deal considering Mike Trout is there. So yeah, good for him.
Yeah, huge.
Trout is like tearing it up. He's like has like 100 home runs or something. So yeah, Mullins is just Mullins
Well, Trout's been hurt since
level.
like May,
Nah,
but
nah, man, nah, nah, nah. 100
okay.
home runs. Yeah.
100 home runs. Mullins got
Yeah.
the short end of the stick though in his first at bat. They were interviewing Tatis. They were doing the in-game interview, and then
Uh,
Ohtani was due up after Mullins, so they were talking to Tatis while Mullins was batting, and then like it was like a 3 pitch at bat, and then Ohtani. So like they only talked about their two guys pretty much the whole at bat. I felt a little bad for Cedric.
hey, man. Got his recognition now. All
How come all
the.
the guys? So the top four guys who have been hit by pitches, they have 13. The top four are like second basemen. I think that's funny.
It's not Rizzo.
No, it's the top five are all 13. It's Ty France who plays like second and third base, Jonathan India second base, Nick Solak second base, Buck Farmer. No, not Buck Farmer. Kyle Farmer on the Reds. He's like second base and shortstop, and then it's Mark Canha. But like interesting, that they're all the same position for the most part.
It's pretty nuts.
Leading baseball in sacrifice hits is Adam Wainwright, Zach Davies, and Senzatella, all pitchers. 7 each.
Wait, who is it? Davies, Senzatella, and who's the other one?
Wainwright. I should probably look at this more often. Javi Baez is leading baseball in strikeouts, 115.
Oh yeah,
Not
read
sure.
the strikeouts. Yeah, no, keep reading these stats. I'm interested to see what this
Okay.
is like.
It's Baez, Chapman, Gallo, Brandon Lau on the Rays, Eugenio Suarez, Adolis Garcia, Dansby Swanson, Nate Lau, Willie Optimus, Salvador Perez, Jared Walsh, Ohtani. So yeah, Rangers have 3 guys in the top 8. Rangers baseball, baby. Leading baseball in walks is Joey Gallo. He has 72. Second place is 60. It's a pretty big drop off. It's Grandal. What are you looking at?
I'm looking at a bunch of stuff on Baseball Savant. I'm looking at exit velocity, like who has the most hit balls over 95 miles an hour. That'd be Paul Goldschmidt. Is 145. Next to Salvador Perez, then Guerrero and Bichette. Freeman 5th, Manny Machado 6th, Devers 2nd, 8, Trey Turner 9, Judge 10, LeMahieu. So pretty interesting stat. I mean, a lot of players have done it. Yeah. Hey, Tommy Pham just at 100. Nice, nice.
And that's barrels. That's over 95 miles an hour on the exit though.
That's just yeah, it's just a stat for how many times, like who has the most hits over 95 miles an hour, like on exit velo, yeah.
Okay.
And then yeah, there is barrels per plate appearance, which is what I was looking at earlier on Baseball Savant, and that has a yeah, like I
It's
said, there's
interesting. It's
20.
Goldschmidt leading it because he's not having that great of a season.
Right, and I mean it kind of made sense. I mean, or it doesn't make sense, but it does at the same time because I just the shift, you know.
Yeah.
So
Jacob DeGrom is insane. I'm looking at the his whip. His whip is .543. The second
uh,
place is .820, and everyone else under is like in that same kind of realm. But his whip is like half of the next highest and or lowest. I mean, he's leading in hits per 9. He's leading in walks per 9. He's leading in strikeouts per 9. And like Jacob DeGrom, insane pitching season. His ERA is the lowest in baseball. 1.08. That is nuts. One of my more favorite occurrences is complete games. Currently, it's Herman Marquez on Colorado. Actually, is 3. I wonder if those are 7-inning games. But yeah, Descalfani has 2. Sean Manaea has 2. Adam Wainwright weirdly has 2 of them. Giving up the most home runs is Mike Fultonevich on Texas.
rough.
Tough. Oh, my guy Jorge Lopez is leading on the Orioles. Most losses in baseball, has 12 of them. That's what we get.
That's what we do. Hey man, leading in some way.
We got a leader.
You got a leader. You got a all-star center fielder starting in the American League over Mike Trout, and you got a pitching leader. So it's a pretty good team if you
Well,
ask me.
if John Means didn't get hurt, he'd be up there too on a lot of that
You have a
stuff.
pitcher who threw a no-hitter. You have another pitcher who's leading the category, and you have an all-star
We're
center
up there.
fielder.
We're doing great.
Hey, I keep seeing that Twitter guy. I don't know what to call. I don't know his account name, but he keeps updating everyone on how long until Adley Rutschman is the #1 prospect. I think that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
Orioles statistics guy. He puts out like I like him a lot. We interact sometimes, but he has like the most random shit. He'll be like, "Today, Austin Hayes hit his 57th base hit of the season," and it's like it's really random shit, but it's like it's entertaining nonetheless.
It is about Adley Rutschman. He's gonna be cool when he comes up too. But
I'll see his most recent tweet about what Adley's come up day is. Like the way he words, it's just like he repeats it the same way every time. It's just really funny. Countdown to Adley Rutschman is baseball's top prospect. Wander Franco needs 69 more ABs, nice, or 21 more days on the roster. Huge.
it's just all about Wander Franco. I love it. It's just like, yeah.
They released the 2022 Tops design. It actually looked really good. Wander Franco was the athlete they used. So he's surprisingly not having that good of a season for being the top prospect in baseball.
Do you think that's gonna be a good set?
Should be. I'm trying to think of other names. Like it depends who they put in update, but Franco will be there, of course. Isn't an update this year. He'll be in there, but that's a pretty big name. I know there's more I'm missing, but it's just a short list. Adley Rutschman might be in there if he comes up in September. I need it. All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Because that's like I said, it'd be a shorter episode today, but
We definitely talked about a lot, so I think.
we can call it here. It's midnight on my part of the country. But,
Yeah, I'm like pretty hungry also, so I need to eat.
All right, sounds good. We will catch you guys next week. We will probably be going a little deeper into the trade deadline talks as things heat up. But until then, have a good one, guys. Enjoy baseball being back after the All-Star break.
Yes, sir.